Hey, it's Mr. Allred, and I'm here to go through practice problem 3 from the absolute value equations. And let's just keep with everything that we've been doing. And remember that the first thing we have to do is isolate an absolute value. So the equation we have is 6 times the absolute value of 2x plus 2. Then we'll add 12, and that's set equal to 0. So I've been saying we need to isolate the absolute value. Okay. So that means we got to do two things here. We treat the absolute value just like it was a variable. So you could think about this as 6x plus 12, and you're trying to get the x by itself. So there's no fractions, there's no parentheses, like terms are already together because the absolute value is with the 6, the 12 doesn't have an absolute value. So now we're ready to add or subtract across the equal sign. So we'll subtract 12 from both sides. Of course, the plus 12 will cancel out with the 12 that I'm subtracting. So my equation will turn into 6 times the absolute value of 2x plus 2, and that'll be equal to negative 12. Okay, my next step in that process would be to continue getting that absolute value by, I don't like that. Sorry, sometimes things don't go our way. But my next step would be continue getting that absolute value by itself. So let's make sure we focus in on that. And the thing we need to do is divide by the 6. So if I do that, the 6's on the left-hand side cancel out, and my equation becomes the absolute value of 2x plus 2 equals negative 2. Now, I haven't discussed this before, and I know that we can continue and get some answers and check them. But I'm looking at this thing right now, and it says absolute value of something equals negative 2. And I ask you, is absolute value ever give you a negative number? And I hope you say no. Okay? So we should be able to look at this thing and reason that there is no solution. Now, if you get no solution, the only way you can really check yourself is to go through the problem again. And if you do something over and over, once you make a mistake, it's very hard to correct that or catch it. So if you get no solution by accident, you're kind of in trouble because you don't have any way of checking that. Except working it again, and you'll probably make the same mistake again. But if you were to continue working this problem, you would get 2 cases. And I'll write those cases out for you. I'm not going to work this problem all the way through. But case 1 would be dropping the absolute value bars, which would give you 2x plus 2 equals negative 2. Case 2 would take you through changing the sign, which would give you negative 2x minus 2 equals negative 2. And you could solve both of these and get 2 answers. So if you're not paying attention, back here where you get an absolute value equal to negative 2, and just stop right there, you'll get 2 answers from the 2 cases that you really have to check to realize they don't work. So no solution is where you end up here, whether you can stop early if you're paying attention, but be careful because just because you have a negative on one side doesn't mean it's the end of the world, because if we go back to the original problem up top here, if we had a negative on the left, we still didn't, a negative on the right, we still didn't have everything by itself. So once you get that absolute value by itself, if you have a negative across from the absolute value, then you can say no solution. But until you get an absolute value by itself, don't assume that. Okay. But if you do keep working, you'll get 2 answers, and it's really imperative that you check to see if they're right. All right. Thank you. Ooh.